Ed, congratulations on the win at the weekend. From a viewer's point of view, it was quite the game. What was it like to be involved in?
Yeah, it was brilliant. It was great to be back playing rugby. It was obviously tough going out there with such a tight game, and Munster really threw everything at us and made us work for every score. So, but from a team point of view, it was great to get the win, and obviously great to be back out playing rugby.
Were you surprised that it was immediately as intense as it came across on television, even though there was no crowds, obviously?
I think we spoke about how much like the game meant to us, and it's a derby at the end of the day. So them games are always going to be physical, and we try to replicate that as much as possible the week before in training to try to get that contact level up, because we knew what they were going to bring, especially with some of the ball carriers that they have. So I don't think it really took us by surprise, but I thought they certainly brought it anyway.
Ed, the disruption to the Munster pack, was that a big point in the game, or the sort of true injuries?
I don't think we really read into it a huge amount because of the quality that they have on the bench. So the John Klein coming in and Jeremy Lockman and stuff. So it wouldn't have been something that we took a huge note of. It was more just kind of next moment and building on what had gone before. So they got the first score and we were trying to get back into the game and stuff. So we wouldn't have put a massive emphasis on what may have happened in around the 7 minutes or so.
Yeah. Caelan Doris, were you aware of how well he played? Or?
Yeah, Caelan's been brilliant. Even since he came back in after lockdown, he's just been training unbelievably well, and a great player. But you could just see even afterwards the stats and how much work he got through. So it's brilliant to see him go so well.
Yeah. There was no chance of you ever ending up on the wing, no?
There's a coin toss between me and Max Deegan at one stage, but I gave it to him.
Thanks.
Cheers.
Ed, quick question. What was it like, a first game back? How are you all feeling today? What was the dressing room like afterwards? It must have been sore enough and tired enough after it.
Yeah, there was definitely that fatigue element of it, and it was such a physical game. And I suppose we felt a little bit lucky that we came away with the win after that conversion going wide. So there was, I suppose, a bit of relief there. And then I think the overriding factor was how tired people were. So it was just the first few minutes anyway. When I came on, it's that shock to the system, and then you're trying to get into it more and more. And the lads felt that the first 10-15 minutes was tough going, but then you kind of get into your stride from there. So I think there's definitely, we knew that how good a win it was against Munster, who were really fighting for trying to get the win there to get that top spot and stuff. So it was always going to be a competitive game, and we're delighted to come out the right side of it.
And just coming off the bench, I mean, how difficult was that? When with the stadium there's no atmosphere and it's completely quiet. Maybe do you think it's almost easier to start than come off the bench?
I found the first few minutes of the game. So when we came out onto the pitch and did the minute silence and stuff, then when we sat back on the bench, that was probably the one time it really hit, because you're talking about an Interpro game in the Aviva, and usually you can't hear yourself think at that stage. So that was definitely when it dawned on me, and I was sitting near Sean Cronin. The two was like, "My God, this is definitely a new experience." But then once we got into the game, it was fine, because I came on and we were defending a 5-metre line out, so I wasn't worried too much about what was happening around me, other than trying not to let them score. So we were straight into the thick of it then.
Ed, I'm just wondering, after Munster had a lot of possession in the first half, say first 38, 40 minutes, how important was the try that Leinster scored right on half time?
Yeah, no, that was a huge moment, because there was that penalty that it was probably kickable, but once we go into the corner, we had to score it. So I think that was a big moment in the game. I suppose them few minutes before and after half time or championship minutes, and we started the second half well as well. Had that scrum 5 minutes out, and then unfortunately got penalised. But it's just trying to load the pressure on them, and was kind of getting back into the game from there. So I think that was a big moment in the game, and it set us up nicely then to try and go after them again in the second half.
Yeah, and did you feel you had more results in the second half against them than that you controlled the game more in the second half?
Yeah, I thought we had that line out with just over 20 minutes ago, I think, and I think we were 13 points up or so at that stage, and we got penalised on that, and then another penalty and a sin bin. So I thought that up until that point we were in a good spot, but then that put a lot of pressure on us going down to 14, and I think Munster got their tails up off the back of that, and then I think they ended up scoring maybe 2 minutes after that, and potentially another try there as well. So that definitely was a big turning point in the game, but thankfully we kind of did enough to hold on in the end.
Thanks.
Thanks, Ed.
Yeah, Ed, for myself, just going back to what Tom was talking about there with the kind of weird atmosphere and stuff. The benches, I kind of noticed, I was up in the media tribune for it, the benches were very loud during it. Like, do you find you guys are almost having to be cheerleaders as the game is going on as well? Yeah.
Well, even it's just trying to give the players that energy on the pitch, and there might be little things that we see that they mightn't necessarily have seen because they're so focused on in play. So there's definitely a bit of that, and especially trying to celebrate the good moments as well, to try and give the players energy, because we know how tough it was going to be the first game back, and just trying to, I suppose, create that energy ourselves. And we spoke about during the week that it is going to be different with no crowd there, and usually the crowd are so good, especially in those big Aviva games, they're incredible. So we just wanted to make sure that we weren't lacking energy because they weren't there, and I suppose there was a bit of an onus on the bench then to try and give the players a lift who were on the pitch.
For people who kind of maybe like they'd be listening at home, maybe without that kind of crowd noise option and stuff as well, like they might have been surprised by how much shouting actually goes on a rugby pitch at the time. It can often get frantic, can't it? Especially when someone's in the 22.
Yeah, definitely, and especially in defence, I think as well, because it's so important that having James Lowe and Dave Carney in the wings definitely helps, because the two of them are always communicating and they see the full picture, while some of the forwards might be sticking heads into rucks and stuff. So they're definitely help us out a huge amount, and they're our eyes sometimes when we're getting back up off the deck and we have to make a decision what way to go, and the two of them would definitely help, and Gary and Robbie are brilliant, and obviously Johnny. So it's a big help for the forwards having lads like that who are communicating well on the pitch.
And just the last one for me was just about your brother Brian over in Bristol. Just having a look at their game at the weekend, and Radrada was off flinging offloads again. Has he spoke much about? Have you had much of a chance to catch up with him, and what's training like for him over there?
Yeah, no, we're trying to go a bit. So he's getting on well. The trend's been the first few weeks before games and stuff was very intense. So we're putting in a huge amount of work and stuff, and then I think their busy schedule now is definitely, well, it's working out for him, working out well for him, because he's starting again tomorrow, and it's been a brilliant opportunity for him. So I'm delighted to see him go so well. And he said it's definitely different playing with so many players from different places. So I think it's definitely a new experience, but he's really enjoying it and getting into the culture over there. And I think they've got 2 really good wins so far, so they're building good momentum, and he's happy to be a part of that.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Ed.
Thank you.